This is lovely drawing of Usopp. He is big man in this chapter, and we like him very much. So if you'd like to see more picture like this, you follow me on Instagram, Twitter, and the Facebook. We love you, nation. One Piece, Chapter 87. It's all over.
Oh, God, this is a good one. I tell you, my boy Usopp. Oh, welcome. Hello, brothers and sisters of the Nerd Nation. I, as always, and you couldn't drag me away at this point, am Jim, here to bring you another review on the classic and timeless tale, the long-running epicness of One Piece. The last couple of chapters really saw us focus individually on 2 chapters ago. It was Zoro versus Hachi, and seeing how, even despite his wounds, his indomitable spirit and strength can overcome, can overcome anyone of beating Hachi. In the last chapter, we saw Sanji, who we really hadn't seen a whole lot of in action. We saw him dig down deep and beat Kyurubi. He wound up fighting him initially underwater, and then at the end of the chapter, just busted him up with a flurry of kicks and a series of moves. Ended up at the end of the chapter, and just nailed him and put him right into a wall. It was just great, So that's how the chapter ended. That's how this one begins. It begins and Arlong's sitting there, and you can kind of see over his shoulder, just imprinted into the wall, is Kyurubi. And he is just laid out. And then you see a picture of Hachi just kind of laying on the ground, and Arlong's like, what the hell? Why you incapacitated two of my officers, and these are like two of his top 3 henchmen. These are his guys. These are his first, second, and third in command, his battle generals, if you will. And so anyways, so Sanji goes and is talking to Zoro, and Zoro says, hey, you mentioned that he was like half okay or half alive, talking about Luffy. What does that mean? And Sanji says, well, we were able to get, he's breathing, so that's obviously a good thing. And I basically just need to go dive back down there and break that rock that he's attached to. And he fills him in on what's going on. He goes, but it doesn't look like this guy's going to allow us to do that. And they look over, and Arlong does not look happy, right? So it goes and takes us over then, and we briefly see a couple of pages about with Nojiko and Genzo. Nojiko is holding Luffy's head up above the water. If you remember in the last chapter, they were smart and they stretched his neck all the way up above the water. So even though his body's still caught underneath, he's actually still able to breathe. And she was able to finally get him to cough up some water, and he's breathing. So Genzo comes up, and he's like, oh, Jesus, I can't get that. I got no breath left, and I cannot get that broken down there. And, just basically, not giving up, but just like, I gotta breathe. So Nojiko says, all right, I'll go down in there. And she's very impressed that 2 of his lieutenants have been taken out. And this is the first time in a long time. Remember these villagers, man? They've been real oppressed by this evil person, I've called him a warlord. And I know he's not one of the 7 warlords of the Grand Line, but I'm talking about warlord in the sense of like a mafia or like a gang that takes over an area or a town. These people have been forced to live in misery for the last 8 years under this piece of garbage Arlong. And this is the first glimmer of hope that they have seen, because everything else, remember, the Navy comes and their ships get blown away. Nothing has been able to break through. And here these humans come in here and start mopping the floor with Arlong's lieutenants. So she's excited. Genzo asks how everything's going, and she's like, you know what? For the first time in a long time, I actually feel hopeful for the outcome of this battle. So you can see that the tides are starting to turn, not only in the battle itself, but the actual mentality. And that's half the battle right there, folks, because honestly, you look at any type of major sports team, people that win, I'm here in the U.S., we've got the Super Bowl, the Stanley Cup, the NBA Finals, the World Series. Many, many times, the team that is not the best team on paper winds up coming out and winning because they have momentum, they have camaraderie, and they believe in each other. They believe they can win. Maybe they got that one superstar they all rally around, and they know that guy can bail them out, if need be. But they rise to the occasion, and they play above what their level is on paper, right? So that's this type of thing here, is these people are now they're starting to turn. Their mood's starting to turn. You're unstoppable, if you have, like I said, if you have that strength of will. So, like I said, the last 2 chapters were very much about the individual, fights of Zoro and Sanji. This one, though, then goes, and the rest of the chapter takes place with Usopp. And Usopp, of course, has run off, and it was being chased by the kisser fish, Choo. So we wind up seeing Usopp, and he's fallen to the ground, and Choo is like, oh, I got him with my, my lipo, kiss, my lipomatic or whatever, right? Everything's with lips, lipomatic, lipo this, lipo Wurlitzer. And he says, oh, one hit from it killed him. So he goes to walk off, and then we see Usopp going, and he's laying there, opens his eyes, and he's like, oh, thank God I had those, ketchup stars, right? And basically what he did is he hit these things against him after he dodged the attack and fell to the ground, and he's acting like he got blown up, like he's dead. He's acting just like the little bitch that he was back on his town, in his island. And so he goes and he starts to think about it, and it's really kind of cool because he sees things play out, and first he's thinking, okay, well, what am I going to tell them when I get back? Oh, sorry, I couldn't beat him. It was a tough fight. Maybe if I rub some dirt on me, it'll look more like I was in a battle. And at first he's thinking about that liar in him coming out, right? And this is why this is very much his chapter and his story, because he's thinking of all the excuses he can make. Then it turns to him going and seeing Luffy never wanting to give up, and Zoro always wanting to push forward and never wanting to take a step back, and just that indomitable spirit of will. And he starts to turn and think in his head, you know what? When I left my town, that's what I signed up for. I signed up to be a pirate. And how could I ever laugh with these guys? And he says too, that's why they can laugh, because they don't worry about tomorrow. They live for the moment. They live for now. And that's what I like about that. And Usopp has kind of been the weak link so far with that, just because he really is. He's more of a storyteller and an evader than he is, hitting guys in the mouth head on. So this is very much him kind of coming of age, so to speak, because then he goes and he says, that's why I left, okay? That's why I wanted to become a great pirate. I want to be able to have these stories to come back. So he basically gets up and tells Choo, hey, dude, come on over here. You think you could hit me with that thing? So Choo turns around and comes at him, and he goes to fire star, and he goes, and Choo just runs right through him. You think that'll stop me? And whack, and he nails him. And he lays out, Usopp, right? And Usopp's like, oh, man, he's down. And then Usopp's like, it's over. And then Choo gets over on top of him. He's like, yeah, I told you it was over, stupid human. And he gets all, weak human and this and that. And he's about to go and step on him. And Usopp goes and pulls out Usopp's hammer. Boom! And he nails him in the leg, right? In the foot and the leg or whatever. And then goes and whack, cold cocks him in the face, So he goes and hits him with some of this stuff or whatever, and a lot of it's just kind of, smoke and mirrors, trickery sort of things, lure him in, hit him, hit and run tactics. He winds up nailing him with one of his stars, and then he goes and runs off, right? Because he kind of blindsides him and temporarily disorients Choo. So Choo's like, oh, where the hell are you? And he sees they're on the beach, okay? And there's, maybe 50 feet back, there's some trees in the forest, and he assumes that obviously Usopp went into the forest. So he goes over and goes to suck up a bunch of water from the little pond area there or whatever, the water, that's embanked up on the sand. And he's going to use his lipo Wurlitzer, his basically it's like a howitzer. It's a cannon that he's going to go and take out. So he goes and sprays the area, and Usopp's like hiding in the trees, and he's just like, and he's telling himself though, he's like, listen, I don't care what happens. Even if I'm the weaker one here, I'm either going to win or I'm going to die trying to win. Okay, there's no coming back with some bullshit story. So that's why this is, and you see this evolve throughout the course of the chapter. It's great. So he winds up going in and hitting Choo right before he does that water cannon. He winds up blindsiding him. And, first he throws this bottle of alcohol. All of a sudden just appears, and Choo just instinctively catches it. Something's thrown at you, just catch it, right? You don't worry about if it's a grenade, you just catch it. So he catches this thing, and he's like, oh, a bottle of booze? And then the next thing you know is, he fires a star over there and explodes the bottle of booze on him, And that's actually what kind of disorients Choo. I completely forgot about that part. I'm saying it in the wrong order because I'm so excited. So Choo's over there, and he's covered in alcohol, whatever, but he goes and does his light Lipowitzer, or whatever you want to call it, and goes and fires out, knocks down, just literally slices a ton of trees down. And, Usopp's like, oh my God, what the hell is with this guy? So then he goes and he's like, he's able to find him and nail him, and Usopp's like, damn it, how did he find me, So as he's going and coming at him, right, Usopp goes and can, because he's like, now it's over for you, human, and he's going to come at him, and basically, just talking big like he normally does. And then Usopp goes, and he's clever, right? He's been thinking the whole time. He's got everything planned out. It's like a chess game, right? Even though he's not as strong, he's smarter. And he goes and he's just like, yeah, you realize that that grog with the alcohol, the liquor or whatever, is flammable, And he says this as he's going and pulling. He's like, fire star! Goes and hits Choo, man, and just lights him up. And that's how the chapter ends. It's how it ends. We assume that he's going to be laid out, taken care of, at least damaged heavily. I don't know. But like I said, this was very much a cool chapter as far as Usopp kind of, coming of age and basically like, hey, I'm going to be one of these people now, one of these pirates. I'm not ever going to look for tomorrow and how to save my ass now. It's all in all the time, and that's what I really liked and respected. And that's what I liked about the chapter, because you kind of knew that Zoro already from seeing him that he was just going to keep coming at you. It doesn't matter if he's bleeding, doesn't matter if you could cut his fucking head off, okay? And he would be holding it in one hand while still going and coming at you. And that's how Zoro is. And Luffy we've seen is the same way, even though he's been incapacitated for a while now. And Sanji, we knew that he was I didn't know what his overall strength will and his indomitable spirit and all that. But I knew from back on the Baratier arc that he was not somebody he's stubborn, man. He's not going to give up. Usopp was the one that you kind of always thought, okay, well, he's sort of like the motor mouth guy, and, is he really going to be there to help them when they need it? So, like I said, all in all, very cool, very action-packed. A lot of these chapters have been now. This is kind of there's the peaks and the valleys. This is the peak, man. We're climbing up the mountain here, and like I said, it's really, really good. So, let me know what you think, Nation, in the comments down below. Feel free to hit the thumbs up, the like button, if you should think that I deserve it, and then subscribe if you haven't done so already. We will look forward to catching you, yes you, in the next one, Nation.
As always, thanks for watching, brothers and sisters, and remember, join the Nerd Nation. It's the right thing to do. Trust me. Tell them Jim sent you.